Today I'm gonna go step by step and show you all how exactly I personally would start a language in 2026. I think it's also important to note that everybody has their own method. Everyone, has something different that works for them. So I'm not saying that this is the best method out there. I'm just saying this is what I would do. And I've had a lot of people have success with it as well. So that being said, let's get into it. So the very first thing that I would do is get proficient in the alphabet, if that applies to your language. Some languages don't have alphabet. So if that applies to your language, get very good with the alphabet and spelling, uppercase, lowercase, whatever the case may be. I would also place a very heavy emphasis on tones and pronunciation. Tones if it applies, but pronunciation applies to every language. In my experience, it's worked much better for me in the long run, placing a heavy emphasis on pronunciation from the beginning, because if you start the language pronouncing things how they're supposed to be pronounced, over time it just gets easier to pronounce new words because your brain is already beginning to develop a sense of that language. Sort of, and the best way I could put it is it's kind of developing its own X language brain, like a Spanish brain, French brain, Mandarin brain, whatever. This is also how very quickly into learning a language, I get people of the target language who are telling me that my pronunciation is very good. That's because starting out with good pronunciation is only going to lead to better pronunciation down the line. So high emphasis on that. To get the basics, there's tons of free resources online. Most languages nowadays, even the less studied ones, have at least a good amount of resources to get you started with the basics. So you can look up free playlist courses on YouTube for whatever language you're learning. If you were learning like Spanish, French, one of those languages, you'll find tons of resources. You honestly have no problem with resources. If you're learning, like I said, a less studied language, for example, right now the problem I'm running into with Cantonese is just that for English speakers, there's a lack of resources, so it makes it very difficult to find studying material. Sometimes you just gotta kind of use what you know, and I'll give you guys some more tips a little bit further in the video on how you can actually move around that issue. Also, PDF textbooks, just do a Google search, PDF textbook for whatever language, and they'll give you some PDFs that you can download to your computer, your phone, whatever, tablet, whatever you're using to study. You can also just Google free online lessons for whatever language. Keep it simple, A lot of times when you're studying a more popular language, they'll also have just a bunch of free written lessons online for I don't know how many lessons. Like I said, the more studied languages will have lots and lots and lots of these. So it's actually important for you to see which one that you want to study and see which one fits your study habits the best. In other words, which one you resonate with more, to put it that way. For input, again, in the beginning stages, I would watch shows that are meant for kids just for the moment. This is gonna get you, you can hear the language spoken pretty slowly, relatively speaking, and you can start to train your ear. I would definitely recommend staying away from things that are too advanced, like, full-blown native content. I would stay away from it right now because it's very easy to get overwhelmed, especially if you don't understand anything at all. It just sounds like, just sounds to you at this point. If you haven't already, download Anki or Quizlet, because you're also going to want to use these flashcard systems to memorize vocab or grammar if you want to use flashcards for that as well. But it's very imperative to keep up the use of the flashcards systems up until at least the advanced stages. I say at least the advanced stages because once you hit a point where you feel sort of comfortable with the language, it gets a lot easier for you to remember exactly what it is that you read. So for example, if I started a language today, it will be extremely hard for me to remember 5 words. However, let's say I've been studying this language for 10 years and I'm only at an advanced stage. It's a lot easier for me to even remember 5 words without even having to write them down, put them through, a flashcard system. It's a lot easier for people to remember words, new words, without having to go through all the extra work. Just think of your native language, for example. Most of you who are watching this video are English native speakers. So if I were to teach you a word today, tomorrow you could probably tell me what the word is without having to, write it down or look in the dictionary or whatever. It's the same thing, just in a different language. Once you hit the middle stages, the intermediate stages, the next thing you want to do is find yourself a language partner. So there's plenty of ways that you can go about this. If you don't have anybody in real life that you can practice with, like a native speaker, a friend, or I don't know, whoever, you can go to HelloTalk or you can go to Tandem. Both are language learning apps. Well, they're meant for that specific purpose. However, you'll find people doing all type of crazy stuff on there. Anyways, these 2 apps give you access. If you don't know what they are, they give you access to native speakers of a bunch of languages just around the world. So if you're learning Thai, for example, you set up your profile and you have it set to like say I'm learning Thai, and you'll see on what they call the moments page, which is basically your discovery page, you just see a bunch of Thai people posting in Thai about whatever Thai people post about. So that's an easy way that you can find language partners. The same goes for Tandem. It works a little bit differently. However, it still serves the same purpose to find, language partners, people to speak with, etc. If y'all see me looking down, I'm looking at my phone, by the way. I got my notes written down and everything. At this point, start watching content that you enjoy normally, but just in your target language. So back to the Thai example, if outside of language learning, you enjoy cooking videos, well, look up cooking videos in Thai and watch those. See if you can learn some Thai food. Or if you like sports, look up what type of sports the Thai people play and then watch those in Thai. That's taking you from that kids show input to now you're getting, more input on things that you already enjoy. So it's gonna be less of a mental fatigue for you to keep going. For questions, it might be a little bit more difficult because you don't have anybody in real life, or you may not have anybody in real life that you can ask. So just Google your answers. Google your questions. A lot of times people have already asked the same question on Reddit, on Word Reference, on LingQ, I think it's called. The point is that people have asked lots of questions over the past, I don't know how many years Reddit and language forums have been around, but those threads generally don't go anywhere. So just look it up on the internet. Maybe you'll find an answer to it. If you still can't find the answer, then I would make a post on HelloTalk and ask that, which is also going to be good for you because people are going to, want to talk to you about their language, teach you their language. People, generally speaking, are very open when it comes to helping you learn their language. Also, around this stage, for an added challenge, what I like to do and what I recommend you all do as well at this stage is to put your phone or your tablet or your computer or your PS5, Nintendo Switch, whatever, put that in your target language if you can. So if you're learning Spanish, put at least one of those devices in Spanish, because you're going to be looking at it all day. And you can honestly pick up a lot of good vocab just from using whatever language or whatever phone you have set in your target language. So don't sleep on that, y'all. If you have native speakers around you, like maybe your city, wherever you live, just has, a lot of native speakers of that language, speak with them as much as you can in that language. Even if they respond to you in English, just keep speaking to them in their native language. Now, it's important to make a distinction between them speaking to you in English because they don't understand what you're saying, and them speaking in English just because they want to speak English. If they're responding to what you're saying, but just in English, then they clearly understand what you're saying. So a lot of times when I was learning Spanish, I would, go to places that have Spanish speakers, not purposely for that reason, just, when I would go over there, and I'll speak Spanish to them sometimes. And I don't know if it was that I didn't feel confident or maybe I had an accent. I don't know what it was, but they would oftentimes speak to me just in English. Like I'll speak Spanish to them and they would respond in English. And so eventually I was like, you know what? Maybe they want to practice their English, but I want to practice my Spanish too. So they would speak to me in English. I would respond back in Spanish. And then we would just have this bilingual conversation. If they never switched back to Spanish, as long as I know that they understand me and they're responding to what I'm telling them in Spanish, I know I'm good, I turn it into a practice either way or another. That for me is like a test. If they're responding back to you about what you're telling them, then that means you're improving, because native speakers cannot comprehend what you're telling them. Start paying attention to cultural events that are happening in the country of your target language, because that's also, not only is it going to get you better vocab that you can use to speak with native speakers, but it's also just good general knowledge to know. If you are studying Mandarin or Cantonese and you're learning about the Dragon Boat Festival, that's going to make you a lot more popular also between native speakers, because they're like, whoa, this person, not only is he learning Mandarin and Cantonese, but like, whoa, like he knows what the Dragon Boat Festival is too, and he can, have intelligent conversations about it. Like, wow, like, that's gonna make you like very popular in that community, which is also even better for you now that I'm thinking about it, because that's gonna give you more options for native speakers and language partners to choose from. A trap that I would avoid is not picking a region or country to learn the language from, if that applies. So, for example, Spanish has 26, 27, I don't know, countries that speak Spanish. And they all have, their different distinct accents, different distinct ways of speaking, vocab, sometimes even grammar, etc. So if you don't specialize in one specific country, you're going to end up talking like people from all over the place. Which, if you think about it in English, it would be crazy if I'm speaking how I'm speaking right now, but for certain words, I pronounce them in a British accent, but other words, I pronounce them, a little bit like a South African would. And then 2 seconds later, I'm talking like a Malaysian. A few words down, I sound like Australian. Like, it would sound a little bit crazy, right? So pick a specific country. And if there's only, one country that speaks it, if they have different dialects, pick a region as well, because it's going to allow you to have a more consistent accent as well as more consistent speech. Another thing that you need to do at this stage, at the advanced stage, is start looking at words that you've already learned and analyze them. See what type of information you can pull from them. In Mandarin, the way to say I'm sorry is 对不起. And if you look at it and you split it into its 3 characters, you get 对不起, which means the 对 in 对不起 means like facing someone. 不 is the negation, and then 起 means to be able to force something. So it literally means unable to face. So that's when you do something very bad and you almost don't even want to look at the person because you're that ashamed of, what you did or what you said or whatever. And an example in Spanish, the word ojalá comes from Arabic. I don't speak Arabic, so I don't know what the word is. However, it means God willing. So it makes it a lot easier to learn words and to understand how the language works and how the native mind of that native language works when you understand how the language works. For example, there is the Inuit people, which are the Arctic indigenous people. They have, I think, over 100 words for snow, for different types of snow, because their entire lives are, basically in cold areas. So they got words for snow that looks like this, that has this type of texture, that falls like this, that, falls fast, falls slow, whatever. So just knowing that alone lets us know, okay, they're very knowledgeable when it comes to weather, or at least when it comes to snow. So that is also something that you can keep in mind when you're having conversations with people, because that gives you very good cultural insight to how, like I said, to how native speakers think. So that's another hidden gem for y'all. So as you can see, the process is very simple. It's not easy, but it is very simple. It's really going to depend on how consistent and how persistent you are during the process. If you study every day, you don't even have to study every single day. You can take breaks here and there. But for the most part, if you're consistent, just like anything else in life, you will see the fruits of it. It's also a process that becomes simpler every time you learn a language. So after you learn your first, when you go to learn first foreign language, when you go to learn your second foreign language, which will be your third language, it'll feel even more simple. It's a snowballing effect. So it's really easy to get wrapped up in how fun it is and everything. Don't forget to look in the description and click on the link to sign up for the ebook waiting list. Got more and more tips coming for y'all on the ebook. If you like this video, you're gonna love the ebook. And if you like this video, make sure you actually like the video. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you ask me questions. Any questions that you have, leave those in the comments for you, and I promise I'll get back to you. Make sure that you share this with someone who needs it as well. Someone who wants to learn their first language, but doesn't really know how to do it. Share this with them. Make sure y'all go to this video right here and check out how the process actually looks from not knowing anything in a language to getting fluent in a language. Go check that out for me.